In this video, we are going to use matrices and systems of linear equations to find the equation of a circle that passes through given points. So we are going to find the equation of the circle that passes through these 3 points given to us, 1, 3, negative 2, 6, and 4, 2. So we are going to start with the general equation of a circle. So that is x squared plus a coefficient times x, we're going to call that coefficient ax, plus y squared plus a coefficient times y, so we'll call that coefficient b, so we have the term by. And then usually it's equal to some constant, or we'll say minus that constant equals 0 for the equation for our circle. So we are going to use our 3 points here to generate 3 linear equations, and we see already that we have 3 unknowns, a, b, and c. So if we have the same number of linear equations as we do unknowns, we will be able to solve our system of equations. It'll be consistent here. So we are going to plug in the first equation, x equals 1 and y equals 3. So those calculations are going to be 1 squared plus a times 1 plus 3 squared plus b times 3, and then we'll have a minus c equals 0 here. Then our second point, when we plug in x as negative 2, gives us a negative 2 squared plus a times negative 2 plus 6 squared plus b times 6 minus c equals 0. And then our third point, 4, 2, we plug in x is 4. And we get the equation 4 squared plus a times 4 plus 2 squared plus b times 2 minus c equals 0. Okay, so in our next screen, we are going to simplify these equations and then put them into matrix form. And that matrix form is going to allow us to solve the system. Okay, so that first equation, I'm going to simplify all my values to get a plus 3b minus c plus 10 equals 0. So if we head over here, you see the 1 squared was a 1, the 3 squared was a 9, so that's where my 10 is coming from. And then my second equation, following a similar process, is going to be negative 2a plus 6c minus c plus 40 equals 0. And then my third equation is going to be 4a plus 2b minus c plus 20 equals 0. So I have just done some arithmetic here to simplify my values. Now remember, when we do our augmented matrix, we want a coefficient matrix and we want a solution matrix. So these values here are going to help me build those coefficients. But to get my solution matrix, I need to have like the equal sign here. That's why there's sometimes this dashed line or the solid line. So I need to bump these values over to the solution column. So I'm going to rewrite these equations as a plus 3b minus c equals negative 10. And then negative 2a plus 6b minus c equals negative 40. And 4a plus 2b minus c equals negative 20. So I'm going to use these values now to build my augmented matrix. So that is going to be following the coefficients here. In my first column, I'm going to have 1, negative 2, 4. Following the second column, I'm going to have 3, 6, 2. Then in that third column, because they were all minus c, I get coefficients negative 1, negative 1, negative 1. And then the augmented column is my solution vector here, negative 10, negative 40, and negative 20. Okay, I don't want to reduce this by hand. It would take me a long time, as you saw in previous videos. So we are going to head over to Simpy and go ahead and type in our matrix and calculate the reduced row echelon form. So over here in Simply, I'm going to call my matrix, I'll call it Q. I'm going to say Q equals matrix with a capital M, and then open parentheses for my function here. And then in brackets, I input my rows. My first row is 1, 3, -1, -10. Close that bracket, comma. My next row is -2, 6, -1, -40. Close my bracket. And then my third row is 4, 2, -1, -20, double close my brackets, close my parentheses. So here's Q. I can check it by just typing my capital Q, and it should pop up. Oh, I made a typo somewhere in here, so I'm going to arrow back up and see if I can find my typo in matrix Q here. If you go through your errors, you can usually see your typos in here. Maybe I better call it M. Changing my matrix to M and see if that fixes my calculation. Yeah, it seemed to just maybe didn't like Q. All right, so if we just call it M, Cynthia is happy. So you can't use Q as a letter. I must stand for something else in this library that I've imported. All right, so we're in business here with M. And then we are going to do M, capital M dot RREF, parentheses, and then we just want the first column, so in brackets we put the 0, and press enter, and we should get the reduced row echelon form of our matrix. Here we go. So we are in business now, and we can head back over to our screen here and write down our reduced row echelon form. So I'll do a little arrow. We can say RREF. This is linear algebra code for, hey, I've done the reduced row echelon form. And then you can write down a matrix with the coefficients. And so since we are in reduced row echelon form, we can see what our coefficients for this equation for the circle are going to be. All right, so I'm going to rewrite my equation of my circle as x squared, and then we had plus ax, so a is -10. That was our first coefficient here in the first row. I'm going to say minus 10x, and then plus y squared, and then our next coefficient was plus by. So in this case, we're going to say minus 20y. And then our last coefficient was minus c. In this case, because c is -60, we're going to say plus 60 equals 0. And if you're really good at factoring or completing a square, you could work out that this is the same as x minus 5 squared plus y minus 10 squared equals 65. But it's okay to leave it in the first form for my purposes. And so you can see here is our circle centered at 510.